Greetings, everyone, and thanks for joining us today. My name is Hannah Hickam. I'll be your host, and we'll just give everybody a couple minutes to get on so that nobody misses anything. Oh, and I suppose you could note that we have changed the order a little bit. Jane got bumped up to the front, and then we added the Reg 7 applications at the bottom. Also, just for announcement's sake, we're going to be going to just the once a month again for these meetings, and they will be on the second Tuesday of the month.
Hey, Hannah.
Yes?
Hannah, I don't have a presentation, but I was hoping you could drive around the website for me.
Awesome. I just got it pulled up.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Oh, what's that? And for those of you who are just getting on, we're just giving folks like you time to get on the meeting so that no one misses anything. And first up would have been Jane, but we're going to bump Greg up for a quick announcement at 9:05. So that will happen in 3 minutes. To everybody who's just now getting on, we've just got a couple more minutes just to make sure that everybody has the chance to get on and not miss out on anything. And we'll get started right at 9:05, which is 1 minute away. And then I got a message. I'm sorry that you're getting an echo. I think maybe if you log off and get back on, maybe it's just a bad connection. But I'm getting other people reporting and saying that they don't have an echo. So I'm thinking that it's probably just on your end. So I'm really sorry about that.
So Hannah, since the 9 o'clock to 9:05 portion of the meeting does include announcements, I'll go ahead and make a quick announcement here at the end of that time period. So I just wanted to make a note for folks who were tuned into the commission meeting last Wednesday. We ran a little long with the informational docket, and so the last item on that agenda was just a follow-up by staff to kind of close out staff's thoughts on that matter. And I will be continuing that presentation tomorrow at tomorrow's commission hearing, which is an evening hearing. I think I'm on the agenda at 7:10, but it may be earlier than that if there are no or fewer public comments. So I just wanted to let folks know that if they were waiting with bated breath, holding their breath for the end of that, I had to leave for a dentist appointment. I had a different type of drilling to take care of. So I will finish that presentation up tomorrow. So thanks.
Thank you for that announcement, Greg. All right, we'll go ahead and jump right in with Jane and the permit pending transition timeline update. And then here is the website. Make sure I'm on the external site. And then Jane, you may take it away.
Great. Thank you, Hannah. Good morning, everyone. I just wanted to, we've had some questions about deleting old pending 2s and 2As that were submitted prior to January 15th and operators filing replacements for those and things like that. So I wanted to turn everyone's attention back to a document we prepared in January that's still posted on the website. So Hannah, could you please click on SB 19-181.
I'm sorry, it's slow. I had to get on the VPN this morning.
That's okay. And then, of course, under SB 19-181, we have the mission change guidance page. And there we have lots and lots of guidance documents. And the one that kind of explains this situation with pending permits is the pending permit transition timeline, which is the second document. Again, we put it out there back in January. And where we are in this is actually on the last page now. So we are in the time frame between January 15th and July 15th. So operators, many of you sent in a spreadsheet that identified which for old 2s and 2As you intend to replace and which ones you do not intend to replace. Penny Garrison and the permitters have gone in and deleted all the pending 2s and 2As that you told us you don't want to replace. They also deleted all the 2s and 2As that we received no indication either way, whether you're going to replace them or not. And so now, between now and July 15th, you can send in replacement 2s and 2As. On July 16th, anything that's in the system that was submitted prior to actually April 16th, 2019, which was the effective date of SB 19-181, all of those old things are going to go away. We're going to do a system purge. We actually have forms in draft that were submitted or created way back in 2019. We've never purged the e-form system, so we're going to. They're all just going to go away. They're old forms, they can't be processed, so they're all going to disappear. So the thing is, you can send in a replacement 2 or 2A anytime after July 16th. There's no deadline, really. You know, we put this together to provide a transition period of 7 months from the old world to the new mission change world. You know, we could have purged everything on January 15th, but we didn't. So some folks are concerned about, is there a deadline to replace forms? No, there's no deadline, but they are going to be purged on July 15th. So I hope that answers. I apologize if I'm kind of all over the place, but I hope that kind of updates everyone. You've got this document to turn to if you have a question. Again, there's no deadline for replacement. There's just what we've outlined here. And thank you to everyone who did send us those spreadsheets. That was great. And like I said, Penny and her staff have taken action on all of that and cleared out literally thousands of Form 2s and hundreds of Form 2As. So that's where we are with that. And if you have questions about that, we're going to have you ask them now, because I have to jump off. I have a conflict for the rest of this meeting. But one other thing, Hannah, can you please drive back to the mission change guidance page? So the other thing I'd like to remind everyone is the document that's called Form Releases and Staff Contacts, which was also put out here in January. Yeah, if you could open that, Hannah, that'd be great. And if you could go to the last page of that document, which is the list of staff contacts for each form. So if you have a question about a form, if you're having an issue with a form, either way, these are the staff folks that are the kind of designated point person for any questions on all of our forms. Please use this. Please share it with any of your colleagues that aren't on this call. These are the subject matter experts. They will be the point person. They will take care of your question. Either they answer a question, or if there's an issue, they pass it along to our developers to take a look at a problem that you might be having with a particular form. So please use this. And when you do reach out to this person for their particular form, if you have a specific form that you're working on and you're having trouble with, please include the e-form document number, because it helps this person, this staff person, and if they pass the problem along to our developers, it helps them to go right to the form you're working on. So I kind of covered 2 topics instead of just 1. Are there any questions?
Great job. Thanks,
Thank you,
Jane.
Hannah.
Yeah.
Hannah, thanks for driving.
Yeah, of course, anytime. Go ahead and just type your questions into the chat, folks. Let's make it quick so that Jane can get to whatever she needs to get to. And then if you want to raise your hand, there's how to raise your hand so that we can answer questions as quickly as possible. I guess we'll give them a couple of minutes. I'm going to get off the VPN while we're doing that. All right, seeing none, and especially since we gave the great option of the hand raise, Jane, have a great rest of your day. If we have questions later on, we can always get them next time. So.
Okay, so Penny chatted in that when you submit a new document, meaning a replacement Form 2, please send an email to tell Penny which ones you're replacing so she can get those old ones out of the system. Thanks, Penny. Sorry I failed to mention that. Penny's all over it. Okay, well, thanks, everybody. Have a good day.
Take care, Jane. All right, let me click back. And next up is going to be John Axelson with the Rule 912.b.6. And just give me a moment to make that transition. John, can you try out your microphone real quick? There we go.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Hannah. Can you hear me okay?
I can. You sound great. All right, take it away.
All right, thank you. Good morning, everybody. So I'm going to do a pretty quick presentation on some environmental reporting requirements. These were actually presented by Greg Gronlow on March 2nd, and there was a regulatory deadline of April 15th that applies to some of these. And so, you know, we wanted to do it before that deadline, obviously, and now we're doing it afterwards just as a reminder. So next slide, please, Hannah. So Rule 912B6 applies to open spills. And so the new rules required that no later than 90 days after discovery of a spill, the operator should have either submitted a supplemental Form 19 with the documentation required to close the spill, or if it was going to take more than 90 days, they need to have submitted a Form 27 site investigation and remediation work plan to continue to work on the spill cleanup and documentation. And then when that 27 is approved, you use the remediation project number to submit a supplemental Form 19 to close that out. And the purpose here was really to provide a specific timeline for spill closures and prevent a large backlog of open spills that never got resolved in the past. And so if you had historic spills that were created prior to the new rules, you know, we're expecting to see either those closed out or a 27 submitted in place. So we have gotten some great compliance, and we know we have a handful of operators that have a large number of historic spills that they're actively working with our area environmental protection specialists to get closed out. So please continue to do that. And if you weren't aware of this April 15th deadline and you have some aging historic spills, just please be aware and try to follow up on this so you're not out of compliance. Next slide, please, Hannah. Along the same lines, we had a lot of remediation projects that were approved prior to January 15th, 2021, that in some cases were many years old. We hadn't received any reports. So the purpose of this rule was just to set a hard deadline so that we could get those projects updated and hopefully active again. So if you had these older remediation projects, by April 15th, the rule required the submittal of a supplemental Form 27 with a detailed project summary and status. And again, we've received many of these updates. However, many more have remained silent, basically. So if you do have some of these older projects, please be aware the deadline was April 15th, and we'd still, you know, like to see those updates come in. Next slide, please. So this just kind of gives some information about what information to include on an update, and it's going to be variable. We realize that some remediation projects might be very simple. You might have a little bit more impacted material to excavate and dispose of. So there's not going to be a lengthy update. Other projects might be very complex and might have a several year-long history. So depending on the scenario, you know, in some cases, we've received from operators some nice project histories for complex projects. It's nice, you know, if you can provide a site diagram, or if you've collected soil or groundwater samples since the last report, go ahead and include sample location diagrams for those, groundwater gradient diagrams, if applicable, summary table with analytical results, laboratory reports, waste disposal documentation, if that hasn't been provided in the past. In some cases, operators have given us some very nice complete site investigation or remediation reports for this update. And again, very happy with some of the updates that we're receiving. We've had a couple instances where operators just submitted a supplemental Form 27 and they provided a comment that said, basically, we're just providing this Form 27 to comply with the rule. But no other information was provided. So again, I don't know if that was an oversight, but that doesn't comply with the rule. We actually need to get an update and a plan forward. So we push those back to draft generally with a comment. Next slide, please. And as part of that update, and for all remediation projects now, an implementation schedule is required by rule. Please be as specific as you can. So what we'd like to see is at least a quarterly look ahead, the dates and duration of planned work, description of proposed activity, and then when you plan to provide your next report. And by rule, quarterly reporting for remediation projects is now the default. In some cases, if it was a, you know, say if there was a surface water impact and it was a very dynamic situation, the environmental protection specialist might ask for more frequent reporting until, you know, the situation is more stabilized. Those are very rare situations, obviously. And we do realize, especially for facility closure, if you have several facilities that you're decommissioning, it's hard sometimes to give us the precise date. But if you could at least tell us, you know, for the next quarter, it's planned to close this facility in the second half of June. And then sometimes, depending on the closure, we might condition that with a request to notify us when it actually goes to the field. So that if it was in a sensitive area or for some other reason we wanted to inspect during those activities, we could come out to take a look. So again, the more precise date you can provide, the better. And then again, the implementation schedule is meant to be an actual plan and schedule. So if you need to revise it, you need to really update it with a supplemental Form 27 and request changes in advance, 14 days ahead of time if possible. If there's some kind of an emergency, please contact the area environmental protection specialist. We understand late spring snow might delay some work, so we will work with you on those kind of situations. Next slide, please. And that's it. So that was just a quick update. Thank you all for those that have submitted the required updates, and you know, if you have some that are outstanding, please continue to get those into us. So thank you, everybody.
Great job. Thanks, John. And folks, if you guys have questions for John, just put them in the chat. We'll get them at the end of the next presentation, which is going to be the Reg 7 applications with Rebecca Treats. And Rebecca, can you just go ahead and test out your mic real quick while I'm getting this up?
Sure, can you hear me?
Yeah, you sound good.
Awesome.
Just another moment. Here it is. And I can't remember what it's under. No. Oh, there it is, share, the big yellow button over here. No, not share, not that kind of share. Present, just kidding, guys. All right, go ahead, Rebecca.
Thanks. Hi, I'm Rebecca Treats. I'm a location specialist. So I was just going to give a quick update on COGCC air monitoring requirements. So we are working with CDPHE Air Pollution Control Division, APCD, for under Regulation 7. They require operators submit an air quality monitoring plan for pre-production operations. APCD is reviewing these plans for emissions and clean air. COGCC is reviewing these plans for protection of health, safety, welfare, environment. But we are, APCD and COGCC are working together, for the bigger protection of Colorado. So next slide, please. So as these air monitoring plans are coming in, we are looking at, for applications that are going to be reviewed by both APCD and COGCC, these will be the location, oil and gas locations where the number of residential building units or a high occupancy building unit is within 2,000 feet of the location. Locations with an approved 2A that might have a condition of approval regarding air monitoring on it already, or where air monitoring has already been occurring. And several operators have then submitted the Reg 7 air monitoring plan to APCD. Locations where maybe the local government or another air agency, such as CDPHE, has requested additional air monitoring, and high profile locations. Next slide, please. So, we're asking and encouraging operators to consider developing an air monitoring plan that will satisfy both COGCC's need for protecting health and the nearby receptors, as well as CDPHE's emissions monitoring requirements. Some of these considerations to meet both agencies' requirements is the placement of the monitors. You might need their, for location based on where those residential building units might be located, to add an extra monitor over there instead of the standard 4. What the operator might be monitoring for. I know APCD has a list in Reg 7 for potential analytes, such as total VOCs, BTEX, methane. But COGCC is looking at specific analytes that could have greater health impacts, such as benzene. So the type of monitor that is used and what is being monitored for should be considered. Action levels. So we've had a couple of the application permits come in where it'll have total VOCs for 1 part per million, or over time, or 5 parts per million over time, and the operator will then have an internal investigation. What does that investigation look like? Will there be additional samples collected? Will there be SUMA canisters or sorbent tubes? What analytes are going to be considered to be analyzed for? Once again, think about the receptors in the area for how that's going to be. And then how will the data be reported when the action level is met? Will there be a call to somebody? Is it, and at what point for, the 1 ppm over time, will something be said, or will that just be internal, looking at what is going on the location at that time, what operations are in play? Or if the 5 ppm over a certain amount of time, whether it's 1 hour or 4 hours, is that going to be a phone call? Is that going to be, an email, who's being alerted, and any of that kind of things. So again, just kind of think about that when you're developing these Reg 7 plans that are going to APCD, because COGCC is talking to them and involved and trying to be aware for protection of health, safety, welfare, and the environment. Thank you.
Great job, Rebecca. Thank you so much. And before we take questions, Greg has another announcement. So go ahead and take it away, Greg. Okay, well, I suppose we will take questions. Rebecca, it looks like you've got, oh no, sorry, John, it looks like the first one is for you. Reform 27, start date updates. Is that for spill/release Form 27s or also for facility closures?
Yes, that is for both. So the rule applies to remediation projects that were approved prior to January 15th, 2021. And so the rule requires an update for any ongoing remediation project. And so, yeah, that covers all kinds of them.
And just a moment, I thought I made Greg a co-host, but I must have unco-hosted him like I did to myself the other day. Greg, you should be able to unmute yourself now. Sorry about that.
Hello, thank you. Greg Duranlo, Environmental Manager again. I just wanted to make an announcement that we will be releasing the updated Form 19 in the very immediate future. We decided to release it before we completed the instructions for the new data fields, etc. So we will release the form. If you have questions about any of the fields on it, as you're working through it, you can reach out to your area environmental protection specialist. And then in the meantime, we will be working on instructions and get those out as soon as we can. We're also testing the Form 27, so we're kind of balancing those two workloads. And then we will just go ahead and plan on having a brief training session on the changes to both of those forms at the next operator training, which Hannah has conveniently posted on the board there. So that will be that'll be coming. So keep an eye out for the Form 20 or Form 19 to be released very soon, and the Form 27 to be released shortly. Thanks.
Great, thanks, Greg. And then the next question that came in, I believe, was for Rebecca. And it is, what is meant by greater number of RBUs, etc.? Actually, I'm not sure who that's for. So whoever it's for, just answer, please.
Yeah, so I think that goes to the air monitoring. I mean, we don't have a specific number like we used to for the LUMA locations, but if there's a large neighborhood, residential neighborhood nearby within that 2,000 feet, there's, look at kind of density of where those residential building units are. Those are the kind of things we're taking or looking at in considering. That helps.
All right, thank you, Rebecca. And if if there is more clarification needed, please just type that into the chat. And the next question is, will COGCC be enlisting a toxicologist or consulting with CDPHE's toxicologists when requesting triggers for public health investigations be set in plans? I think that might be for you, Greg.
So I'll let Greg chime in as well. So for the air monitoring plans, I know that the CDPHE toxicologist has chimed in on some of the plans, and we are talking to them in the meetings depending on the location and whether there's a high occupancy building unit, or like I said, the quantity of residential building units, if there's a large neighborhood or anything that way, high profile areas of concern. So
great, thank you, Rebecca. And the next question is, can you go over again how to find out if we have any remediation projects that need to be 27 slash?
Yeah, Hannah.
Let me know if you need me to pull up part of your program. That'll be fine.
I think if you could go to the website, that would help.
Okay, just a moment.
But just to clarify, Form 27 is a remediation project. That's how it's tracked. So if you have a spill or a release, and it's been reported through a Form 19, and it's going to be more than 90 days to clean up and document that spill, then you would need to submit a Form 27 for the ongoing cleanup to have an approved work plan moving forward if you can't clean it up in 90 days. So maybe that's what was meant by that question, but I also wanted to pull up the website if you're just trying to figure out how many spills or remediations that you have in our system. Hannah, if you could click on help.
All right.
And under environmental, you'll see at the very bottom, searching for information on spills, releases, and remediations. So this is a tutorial we put together to help the general public and operators. There's many ways to search, but this will help you get into the database and figure out some different ways. But it really is fairly simple. I mean, all spills and remediations, once they're entered into the database, you can go to the incident inquiry under data, type in your operator number, select spill or remediation, and get a complete list of any open or unresolved spills or remediations that show up under your operator number. So hopefully that answered that question.
Great, thanks, John. And if the question asker needs more clarification, just put that in the chat, please. Oh, looks like that was good. Thank you, John. And that looks like the end of the questions. Let me just scan over these real quick again. Okay, yeah, I'm not seeing any other questions, but folks, I think we'll give you another minute or two to put questions in. We don't want to leave any questions unanswered. Let me just get out of that. Oh, and while we're waiting, I just want to reiterate that what it says on the screen is true. We're going to go back to the monthly operator meetings, monthly on the second Tuesday of each month. And then hopefully I have the correct dates here. But if I don't, just let me know. And then if you need to be added to the operator email list, please just email me at that email address there. And I will be sure to add you to the operator email list. All right, I'm not seeing any more questions. If you guys have questions, just jot them down and we can answer questions from past trainings at the next meeting, which will be on Tuesday, May 11th. And then with that, I think we'll go ahead and wrap this one up. Thank you everybody for coming and hope you have a great day. Bye.
Thanks, Hannah.
Thank you. And end the meeting for all.